Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you guys my Dragonic Vanquisher deck profile for December 2016. With the support of Set 9 Divine Dragon Caper, we finally are able to give you guys an updated version of this deck. This is actually my first time putting the deck together. I've actually had the stuff collected up for quite a while now, but I thought I'd wait till Set 9 to give you guys the deck profile. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I run 4 Dragonic Vanquisher Voltage. One of your main strides of the deck. What's great about him is you can go into him first stride. He has a GB3 effect, but the no cost effect basically allows for pressure for you to bind stuff and retire stuff on your opponent's field. So great first turn stride because you also want to set up for VMAX, and the GB3 effect allows you to gain power for how many cards you have in your opponent's bind zone. So if you stock up well on those, come second stride, after first usage, you can hit like extremely high numbers. I'm also running 2 of the new Dragonic Vanquisher VMAX. I thought he would be a finisher at first, but then I realized he doesn't go off as much as you think. He's great because he can attack your opponent's units for every Vanquisher you have face up in your G zone. So if you go into him and then him, you can attack up to 4 rear guards plus the Vanguard, which is incredible. And then after this unit attacks, you can counterblast 2. If your opponent has no rear guards, they take a damage. So incredible pressure because they could be at 5 damage and lose straight from that. So it's basically like the additional critical trigger with this card, but I use him more for the fact that he can attack multiple units. You can clear fields out very fast with this card. I also run 4 Conquest Dragon. This card's been around since GB02. Still very good. When your opponent doesn't want to call rear guards for you to kill, just go into Conquest Dragon. He'll retire a unit in the front row, and then for every open space, your front row gets +5. So at most, they can gain +10, including Conquest Dragon, putting him at 36, then giving +10 to 2 other things, like Tsundere or Voltage Horn Dragon, whatever you use. Very good for, especially since Conquest Dragon and Dragonic Vanquish Voltage are not counterblasts either, because this deck can be quite counterblast heavy with some of your cards. I also run 2 Zorus, just an additional backup stride to use, just a non-hit retire, blind 2, pretty much like a small voltage with the no GB3 effect. And for G guards, I run 2 of the new Supreme Dragon. He's the G Guardian for Thunderstrike. Actually, they're both Thunderstrike, which I find highly weird. But with him, if you have Thunderstrike 3, he gets shield +10. And then for every 4 cards in your opponent's bind zone, you choose one of their rear guards at rest at the end of the turn, at the end of the attack that this unit guarded. If you do, you can retire that unit. So it's a good kill effect. You just have to hit rest units. So play that in mind when you're using it. And I also run 2 Emperor Vretira. He is a Thunderstrike 1 ability for +5 shield, so he works best in this deck. Kind of stinks that the Narukami units do rely on Thunderstrike for their G Guardians, but it works immensely well in this deck. And for the main deck, I run 4 Dragonic Vanquisher. He's your main grade 3. His GB2 effect, he gets +3 in a crit every time something's retired, but his best effect is the one when you stride over him. It's a counterblast 1, and then your opponent chooses one of their rear guards, you retire it, and then you bind that card face up. So easy bind power and retire power with this card. You have to hit a unit in the front row, but still immensely good. And I run 2 of the new Spear Jalil. He is a Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. You check top 5 of the deck for a Thunderstrike unit. And Thunderstrike 2, he gets +4, and your opponent cannot intercept. I was about to say internet. +4 power for 15. So yeah, I like him as a backup. I also run, to finish up the grade 3s, 2 Jaggy Shot Dragoon. It's a retire effect by counterblasting 1 when the attack hits a Vanguard. And if you do, it works on Vanguard and Rearguard, which is why I like to run this. Just additional grade 3 backup usage. But you always want to try and get Vanquisher on your Vanguard. For grade 2s, I run 4 Voltage Horn Dragon. It's a counterblast 1 when it's boosted. If you do, your opponent chooses one of his or her rear guards, they retire it and then bind it face up. So it can hit anything, but your opponent gets to pick. So if the rear guards are very limited, you can hit some, pretty credential things with this card. 4 Demonic Dragon Berserker Tsundere. This card's way too good not to use. It doesn't have a GB effect. It's straight up. It can't attack a rear guard, and when it attacks the Vanguard, it gets +3, and it gets the effect counterblast 1 when it hits. You draw a card, and then choose a card from their drop zone and bind it. So if you open up 2 of these for rear guard, it's great pressure early game, just because it'll have the hit ability, making your opponent want to guard. Unless that, you'll draw a lot of cards. And finish up grade 2s, I run 3 Martial Arts Dragon. Once again, another card without a GB effect, but it also has the +3 Thunderstrike 2 on rearguard effect for GB, but the Vanguard effect is when you ride it, you counterblast 1, soul blast 1. You choose one of your opponent's rearguards in the front row, retire it, and then bind it face up. So great ride target, especially if your opponent wants to early game pressure you have this card to go off of. And for grade 1s, I run 4 Dragon Dancer Anastasia, just the unflip perfect card. I have been thinking about going to the new gold one for Thunderstrike for more retiring power, but for now I'm sticking with the unflip. We're just going to see how it works. And I also run 4 Mighty Bolt Dragoon. It's the stride support card for even stride support. You can search out Vanquisher, which is also immensely needed because you don't want to ride the other 2. Honestly, you want to be able to ride Vanquisher. So using this card really helps. Plus, I also run 3 Training Monk Dragoon. It's a 9k for Thunderstrike 1 on rearguard. And then the GB1 effect allows you to put it into the soul, and basically your Vanguard can choose one of your opponent's rearguards, and they can attack that unit as well. So it's kind of like a brawler effect mixed in with the Vanquisher. And to finish up grade 1s, I run 3 Chain Bolt Dragoon. It is really good. I underestimated this card. I had it at 2, bumped it up to 3. It's a +2 effect, and then once per turn, when you have a Vanquisher Vanguard, when you retire something, choose a card, and binds it from their drop zone, bind it, and then you choose one of your other units, and it get +2,000, so +4,000 power in total, which is really nice. Plus the bind effect, it's a free bind, which is what this deck really lacks in at times, so you want to make full use of Chain Bolt. Might even bump it up to 4 if I want to move Training Monk down to 2. And then for my grade 0s, my starter is Ascetic Draco Kid. It's a +2 when it boosts, which is really nice for a 7k boost. And the GB1 effect is you retire this unit when any player's rearguard other than this unit is retired from an effect due to a card effect. During your turn, you may pay the cost. If you do, your opponent chooses one of his or her rearguards, retire it, and then bind it face up. So additional bind for free counterblast. You want to get to Thunderstrike 5 for VMAX, which is very easy with that card. And then I also run 4 Rasef, which is the hollow crit, put in the soul, +5 draw, 4 Vanquisher, 4 Plasma Dance Dragon. I run 8 crit with this deck. And I also run 4 Draw Trigger. Like I said, pressure with this deck with Voltage and Conquest, you'll hit big columns, so you don't really... you could run stand triggers, but the draw power helps because hand consistency is another problem this deck does face. And 4 Cordo for the heals to wrap up the deck. So yeah, that's it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Kira Qualia out.